Hello and welcome to Find Your Inner Flavor. We are your co-hosts, Becky Schoenig and Gregory Owens. We're the owners of SymBowl. We're located in Kirkwood, Chesterfield, and now St. Charles, Missouri. You don't see us with any guests today because we're kind of your guests.
Well, some of them aren't going to see us at all because they're listening to us.
If you're listening, you're not going to see us. But right now, if you're seeing us, you're finding us on YouTube, Find Your Inner Flavor. We started this adventure. We started it 3 months ago with the Gaslight and with Media Outlaws, but it's kind of been in the works with Sketch Eats a couple years ago, and then we were doing our own podcast with our own equipment, and then took it into more of a professional setting.
Because it sucked.
We wanted to be seen as more professional.
Yeah, we're faking it.
So thanks to Con Blue for being our sponsor and getting us the studio time to do these. Some of the feedback has been more people want to hear from us, not just our guests. So we're taking this opportunity today to just kind of I'll talk a little bit more, and this is how we started. It was just you and I talking industry stuff. And that's kind of what Find Your Inner Flavor is. It's just a way of life. It's kind of the philosophy we've created. Our restaurant caters to a lot of the specialty diets out there. We want to be non-discriminating to it. The way I've always kind of described what SymBowl is it's kind of like a church in some ways.
Yeah, no.
Everybody's welcome. I don't have any judgment. How
long has it been since you've been to a church?
It's been a long time.
Okay.
But I go to church every single day. It's called SymBowl.
Wow.
That's what I like to call.
Okay,
my mom used to say that the outdoors were her church. I mean, you can call whatever you want. For some, it might be Gaslight here. They come here, they have community, and they drink a beer.
They drink communion. Out of a can.
So let's talk a little bit about how we started.
Sure. 6
years ago. Well, pretty much 6 years ago.
Oddly enough, and this is where all the spiritual, your woo-woo-y crap kicks in. Because you know the 11/11 story, right?
Yes, I just now remembered it.
We signed our lease for our original spot on November 11th. And
at 11/11.
It just so happened that...
Is that not... I think that is one of... And I remember you saying, yep, you were supposed to sign it at 9 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock. And I go, I bet it gets signed at 11/11. And you took a picture of the time with the contract right there.
And it was unplanned. I don't know. It was weird. That should have been the clue. That should have been the sign that it was going to be a strange trip.
But that is kind of what we've always talked about, is that SymBowl has, in a lot of ways, been a spiritual journey for both of us.
Yeah, for various reasons, yeah.
In different ways. I love the story when we were even talking about the restaurant getting opened up. We took a trip to New Orleans.
All right.
You want to go?
No, you can. So my wife has supported my side of this for 7 years now. I guess since before we even opened, and was not a huge fan of this decision, only because the steady paycheck goes away. However, I was hating the industry.
What were you doing at the time?
I was teaching. I was being a culinary instructor at the time. And that part was okay, except for the politics and some of the stupidity.
You were also frustrated with how it was all being set up and positioned.
It was terrible. Not to disparage anybody, but it's a system that I don't know if it can function. It's just not set up to, I don't think, to be successful.
It's not setting up the students to be successful, or it's giving skewed expectations as to what.
A little bit.
Yeah, like you're going to make $75,000 when you graduate as a chef, all this other stuff. But you were frustrated. You were frustrated with that. You were also not happy when you were working for somebody else.
Wasn't happy working for somebody else. For, again, lots of different reasons. But, the whole chef business is about making instant decisions, and lots of them in a very short amount of time. You plan for days, weeks, whatever, but when it comes time to actually produce, you have, a 20-minute window to make the dish, or to, 30 minutes to get the buffet out, or whatever it might be.
So you were not happy working for other restaurants. You weren't happy as the instructor. You were just trying to figure.
I was just a piss and vinegar sort of guy.
So we go to New Orleans.
Yep.
Your wife is extremely supportive, but at the same time, really more worried and concerned because this is your family.
Security.
Yeah.
This is a security issue. Yeah.
Yeah. But it wound up becoming is Chris here?
He's
Chris, come on in. Chris, welcome.
He's gone now. He's
Did
gone.
he leave? There he is. Yay.
Hi, everybody. This is Chris.
Hey.
We like Chris.
Chris is our bartender here at Gaslight, making his magic with our Con Bleu drinks. So
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Once again, you've done it all.
Yep.
So we're talking about we go to New Orleans. We're on this just adventure.
We're hitting the French Quarter.
Yeah, and
just rolling
if you've
around.
ever been to New Orleans, it is kind of one of those fun places. Lots of psychics, lots of ghosts, lots of art. I love it.
Strip clubs.
Yeah.
Booze on the
Yeah,
streets.
you get all
Great.
kinds of fun stuff. And we decided, your wife and I decided, let's go see a palm reader or a psychic while we were there.
Only like the witch doctor.
The witch doctor. I don't even
Some
know
silly.
who it was. And we go in, and Joe, I think, does the reading first. And I don't even remember a whole lot of mine as much as we remember hers, because they basically said, you have to allow him to do this, or it's not going to be.
Basically that I was making a big decision.
Yeah.
She needed to support it. It was scary, but it would be
Everything would be
successful.
fine.
Everything would be fine. And that for me, it was a spiritual awakening,
Yeah.
which I believe this crap or not, but I don't know how they would have pulled that one out of any sort of error.
And the only thing I remember from my reading was that I was in the midst of creating something that was much bigger than I could even explain yet. Well, so here we are 6 years later.
Yeah.
I'd really like to fall on that psychic and
we can
see
no
what
longer
they have
afford
to say.
to actually go to that psychic.
But so that winds up becoming the first part of what everything is. And you and I had never worked together. We'd known each other for several years. You knew my spiritual side, but I hid a lot of it from you because
that crazy train shit.
you were pretty pessimistic with a lot of
still am.
things. Yeah, you are. But it was a part of me that I kind of had to hide for a long time, especially when we opened up the doors.
you have to be a little bit more conservative.
Yeah.
Threw that crap out the window.
Yeah. I kind of have had to, because I can't be standing there with somebody up at the counter and all of a sudden,
We made it our shtick.
yeah, Jerry, who passed away, shows up and
Wow.
whatever it is. And I got to go, who's
right.
Jerry? So
Redirect.
we wind up, you fall apart.
Oh, absolute shithole spiral.
You fall apart.
Twitching. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Massive panic, anxiety, whatever.
And
the hell
it was, I mean, we're talking to the point to where I was sitting there
despondent.
going, do I have to replace him? Because
Yeah,
you
I was
could
fucked.
hardly work.
It was terrible.
You were thinking we just made the biggest mistake of our entire lives. I think sometimes we even today,
Say what the hell?
what the hell?
Yeah.
This industry isn't an easy industry, especially when you start doing things the way we've kind of gone about doing things. We're pretty non-traditional in a restaurant setting. We're open 6 days a week, not 7 days a week.
We purposely went into it to not be the standard. We wanted to be different. Which was to not duplicate a lot of the nasty side of the business.
So talk about some of the nasty sides of the business.
Hours are a lack of acknowledgement about the hours and the work. I think is something that's just totally overlooked. it is a service industry. And yes, you do have to, I mean, you have to have certain hours, but people in the restaurant business, you know, you're working Friday nights, you're working Saturday nights. If it's a busy weekend, you might be closing down Friday night at 1 a.m. and opening up Saturday morning at 6. You know, you might, I mean, there were a couple times that I didn't go home. I just crashed on a bench.
Talk about
because hours you don't.
but talk about what the energy is like in the kitchen. In a
Traditional
in a
place?
traditional typical kitchen.
Well,
what's the vibe that
such a
goes
level
on?
of intent? Well, so you tend to have primarily underpaid people working. You have like I said at the very beginning, so many instantaneous decisions that have to be made because you have a 20-minute window to get something cooked and out. It's not. People always say, "Oh, you can take a break." Well, it's not like there's an extra cook just laying around. Oh, I'm going to go on break. All right, tag team, you're it. So if someone's sick or someone, falls out or gets cut or whatever, all of a sudden everyone else has to pick up the slack. It's hot. You get burns, you get oil splashes, steam. You cut yourself.
So
it's a very intense working environment.
the kitchen space and the kitchen environment
It's tight too. It's not like it's
is a lot of high energy, stressful, fast, all that kind of stuff. And then you have the front of the house. And the front of the house
suck. They're the devil.
But the front of the house is dealing with the customer, has to have the smile on their face.
Cheerleader smiles.
Pretends like everything is perfect all the time.
And then come back to us and we're like, what? We're not making this shit. What the hell is this? Tends to be a battle.
They're two completely different worlds that are being ran under the same business, under the same brick and mortar, but it's a real big disconnect.
They're loggerheads with, I mean, it's rough.
So
you have
you
somebody
and
that's trying to appease a customer, and by and large, most customers suck. I mean,
do you really think that?
No.
I think you focus on the couple that come in that does, and then
I think
that's
part
where
of
the
our
irritation.
philosophy, we have bred a better customer. I mean, I really do. I think our customers are. I think we have and we nurture better customers.
Well, I think part of what it is that we've created is a community. I mean, it really is about the community. When we opened up our doors, we didn't really know what we were doing, what to expect. I mean, we knew what we were doing, but we kind of had the Kirkwood location was our first location, and we kind of had the community that started helping direct us as to what they were needing, what they were wanting.
Yeah, I guess
and we
part
were
of the whole
open-minded to that.
breakdown and falling apart, I guess it maybe was a spiritual rebirth, whatever the hell you want to call it. It definitely allowed for I'm not an egocentric, well, I am egocentric, but I'm not an ego-driven chef. But it definitely allowed for the organic development of the restaurant.
And one of the things you were really super focused on when it came to the restaurant was quality of food, where our food came from, and the ingredients that you used.
Well, quality of food, being honest about the food and where it was from, and being comfortable with saying no if we couldn't do something, not trying to do something that was over and above what our restaurant was. That's a different mentality. I mean, there are things we will say no, because sometimes it's still our food and our reputation. And just because somebody wants something a certain way doesn't mean we have to give that to them.
Well, and what we've discovered is that oftentimes when somebody is requesting it a certain way, it's more often because they think we can't accommodate them.
Right.
And what we've learned is that when somebody's saying, well, I can't really do any of the sauces, our staff is trained to go, well, what are we trying to avoid? If it's calories and that's the thing,
piss
we
on
don't go
that.
down that path. Like that, we're not going to jeopardize who we are and what we do for that reason. However, what we've identified is that most of the time it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with allergies, and they're allergic to something and they feel like they can't do something because they're worried about their own health. They're worried about
They're picky.
their own well-being. Most of them that come into us, though, now, it's really comes down to that. And then we have to try and accommodate there. We can accommodate most
right.
of them.
And that was, I mean, I guess when we developed it, especially in the kitchen, because it was, me in the kitchen, you in the front, dear old dad doing dishes.
Yeah.
It was very easy for us to set that up, to communicate. And it's such a small space. If there really was a culinary sort of question, you just turned around and asked me. Or I
Yeah.
could hear them, and I just answered.
Well, and you were forced to create a culture because I was in the front and you were in the back. You couldn't be mean to me.
Yes, I could.
If you were, though, this was one of
This
the
was,
favorite. This is still one of the epic pieces, and this is a great.
My life.
This is a great way for people to understand the industry as a whole. When we opened up, we now offer the wraps, and the wraps are very similar to what we had on the menu early on, which was the crepe.
Yeah, it was.
It was
like
a crepe option. It was an egg wrap kind of a thing.
Yeah, more like a
But
tired
Greg-
Vietnamese.
Greg hated making them. He disliked them with a passion.
Yeah.
And he learned really quickly if he pissed me off that day, every single customer that was coming in, I was going to recommend that crepe to them. And it was just one after another would go back. And I just hand it back there with a nice smile.
Mm-hmm.
You would get pissed and it'd be like, okay, when are you going to be nice to me again?
Mm-hmm.
But those were the things we were doing. It was our energy. It was our imprint going in there.
But you had enough with people skills to help direct people because, I mean, the reality is if people think they're going into a restaurant and ordering what they want, if they have a skilled server, they're ordering what that server wants them to order.
Yeah.
Because there are salespeople. You could have 20 wraps in a row if I was really bad.
Yeah.
So you were able to do that. I was able to cook and be versatile. And I think the biggest thing as a chef, when I, crashed, burned, and, became like a phoenix and rose from the ashes.
I don't think you
no,
rose yet. I'm waiting for that opportunity.
It was cooking without the ego. I knew what we had was good. And there were certain things that we simply won't skimp or won't rearrange. But it's almost always a nice challenge when someone comes in with something quirky, which has gotten us the paleo, the autoimmune, the all the different diets that we're able to serve. Mm-hmm. Because it's just, okay, how do we steer around this and still maintain our parameters of what is acceptable? And like I said, there have been a couple times that the one garlic whatever lady.
Oh, the woman that couldn't have any garlic
because it crossed the blood-brain barrier and poisoned her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have. I mean, and that's
only
the
sprouted
thing.
soy. Give me a break.
When we start marketing and doing the work we do in a restaurant, in an arena, what we do is not normal.
No,
what we do is not normal.
Not at all.
Most would probably never be able to execute it the way that we do it, and not only in one location but in multiple locations.
We spent 6 years developing ways to accommodate your friends and family can eat together.
Yeah.
Simple things, simple tweaks, but
when we open the doors to this is who we are and this is who we want to serve now, we're going to attract the ones that
the crazies come out of the woodwork.
Yeah. And then we just have to sit there and oftentimes we say no.
I think there's only been 3 times that I can truly recall that we have absolutely not been able to accommodate somebody.
Yeah. And
they were pretty bizarre. I mean, the one day I don't even want to say this, but
you're going to.
Yeah, I know. We smoothied a bowl for that one lady. Remember, she had her
wisdom or something. She had surgery.
It was a really special situation.
And this is where you become the softie.
Yeah.
So here's the thing that I've had to deal with for the last 6 years of having this restaurant with him. He will be adamant. You can't say yes to certain things. You can't say yes to certain things. And then, so
But I can.
I know. So here I wind up sounding like the bitch. I sound like the one that nobody likes. And then I go say something to him and he comes up and he's like the nice guy. Oh yeah, we can accommodate. We can do that. And I go, when am I ever going to be the nice guy? Because if I was the nice guy,
you're the
I'd
mean
go
one.
back there and you would then get mad at me.
That's probably the best. All of our employees think that they come in thinking I'm the mean one because chefs they throw shit and they're mean and all that. And then they quickly realize.
And I'm not the mean one.
Yes, you are.
I want to ask, like Lacey and Carrie, am I the mean one? Look at them
Am
shaking.
I the mean one?
Lacey's just standing there. Lacey's just sitting there. She's like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. I think the thing is, and my background is in coaching, life coaching, business coaching. I can't be nice to everybody and get a high expectation. And I
Then
have
you can't
reasonable.
say yes to everyone with their food orders.
And I don't. You do.
Well, I'm a weakling.
You do. But I think that going into my side of things in the culture in which we oftentimes the employees we recognize and realize they're not our employees for life.
No.
Most of them are coming through.
Food and beverage services. I mean, there's very few lifers.
Yeah. So for us, it really is about identifying who the person is, what their wants are in life, and hopefully helping them gain some skill sets while they're working for us that will allow us to help get them into whatever the next thing is.
Well, that was SymBowl as a brand is what, a year and a half old now. So the first original was Hot Pot Smoothie Shop, which don't ask. Just don't ask.
There is a story behind
I'm
that.
sure,
We
but-
literally started coming up with this going out to the wineries in
Might have been
Augusta.
drinking. And it sounds really, when you say it, Hot Pot Smoothie is kind of clicky. But the idea was that it was a shop. It was a shop being a creative space.
Yeah.
Creative for us, creative for our food. And then, one of the big things is as a, I guess, teacher-minded person, and recognizing the youth that's in the industry, the transient nature of the industry, and just the traditional kind of not pleasant aspects of the industry. We wanted to change that. It is important that, and maybe to our detriment in some respects, I would say most of our employees pretty much know the ups and downs of the business. They know the struggles that we go through as business owners when stuff's crappy. They see us fight. Well, we won't fight
We don't
too
really
much.
do that
Not
very
anymore.
often. Not
No.
anymore.
I'm on
But
medication.
I think it's more of a financial stress that gets picked up.
Well, but they also see we make sure that they understand, especially some of the, we have a new cook in St.Charles, and really making him understand that we are not a front and back of the house going to battle every time we start service, because we need the front to translate what we do to the customer. We need them to, if they can't do their job well, we're not, we don't do our job well in the back.
And one of the things we did to help bring that culture into place is we do the tip sharing.
Sharing is
What
huge.
a lot of people don't realize and recognize, and I find this funny because we'll always identify it. If I'm working the front as the owner, most of the time nobody's going to tip. And they're going to think, why am I tipping the owner? What they don't recognize is that the owners have not made have not made a paycheck this year, and we don't get the tips.
No.
The tips are shared from all of our employees from the front of the house to the back of the house, which is not a normal thing. But because we don't have waitresses or servers, we're able to do this, and every dollar that goes in goes basically into a share.
Well, and pretty much we don't have, we do have positions. We have people that are cooks. We have people that are front, but everybody's doing dishes. Everybody's sweeping floors. Everybody's, if the front is real busy, the back person will come up and help. They'll take bowls out. And vice versa.
But when the back recognizes and realizes that the front is helping bring in
it is
most
a
of their
family.
tips.
It's a whole team.
Yeah. And
effort.
our employees, because of this, make very decent wages in this industry
For what we do,
for
yes.
what it is that we do. And I like to say that most of them are pretty happy
Well, it's the little things. It's closing at 8:00 versus 9:30 or 10, in the hopes that maybe after 8:00 we'll have 2 or 3 more tables. Mm-hmm. Well, but then we're keeping everyone extra hour and a half, 2 hours. And yes, okay, were we saving on a little bit of labor there, making better use of our labor dollars? Yeah. We're also allowing someone to be home by 9 or 9:30, not just now getting closed.
So,
And
we're talking a lot about us.
yeah.
We have
questions.
questions.
Did we give it the time?
I know. I feel like we
are we doing on time?
have questions that
We have
we're good.
4.
Okay.
Shoosh.
So, what's a big pet peeve of yours when it comes? Because you like.
I have lots.
I know.
Of pet peeves.
So, let's talk about the local farm to table restaurant that's being
This is
marketed
gonna
and
have to be- have
advertised
to
out
have
there.
A whole new.
What is
boy.
what is your biggest pet peeve?
Well, let's just
with
go
that?
right into this. I despise marketing. It's I guess a necessary evil, but it is so disingenuous, duplicitous. The farm to table, almost everything comes from a damn farm. Okay, and you're eating on a table. So yeah, it's farm to table. Congrats. It could be, heavily processed, frozen, dehydrated in between that farm and the table, but it's technically farm to table. It's like every marketing term, natural, means nothing on a label, but people go gaga for it. You'll see gluten-free written on things that, like potatoes. Gluten-free potatoes. No shit. They're gluten-free. Great. But they'll throw that on there because then they think it gives them a bonus.
Well, your eyes go to that, and that's what it is.
Well,
that
yeah,
you're
it's
seeing.
like, oh, wow, this is great.
I think we
so
like.
what it is. Well, I mean, what it is for me, the farm to table stuff is, we do try as best we can, and it's a little bit harder for us because of our pricing structure, which is low for the type of food that we get. But we're very honest about, okay, well, we got cold, so there's tons of stuff that we are not going to be able to get next week because of this cold that's coming through. Mm-hmm. That's it. End of the season for us. Well, we're going to have to get them from somewhere. So trying to find at least better options than, from 2,000 miles away. We're working on that. It's, I guess, just being honest with what the food is and where it comes from.
But we've seen restaurants that have opened and have gotten a lot of press.
Lots of press.
About who they use. And then we go in there and we check them out, and you find out, they're promoting this farmer and this product that they carry.
And they're using it for like
one special that they do.
Or they have names up on their billboard, and you're like, oh, hey, I didn't, when they come to us to deliver, and we're like, oh, I didn't know you do this person. Yeah, they haven't ordered from me in months.
Yeah.
Huh, funny. They're still using you and promoting that they use you.
But
that's frustrating.
Yeah, that's frustrating for us because we don't have a budget, I don't even think even if we had a budget, we would be putting an ad in all of the magazines and doing all that kind of stuff. But because we're not in that restaurant crowd, we don't get those added benefits of it.
No, and that's because we don't. I don't. It's about our business. It's about our employees. It's about our customers. I give 2 shits about a magazine.
Right.
They're mostly poorly written. I'm sorry, but they are. They're lacking in quality.
I can't wait to see if we can get one of them to sponsor us.
No, go for it. But they aren't. They'll talk about things that is.
It's not. It's
you'll review a restaurant and they critique the stupidest ass stuff.
Okay, I asked you a question. Okay. You asked me a question.
How is it working with such an awesome dude?
Why?
You have to ask this question.
I love working with Matt. I love working with you when we're doing these podcasts.
Wow. All right. How long do we have? 7 minutes-ish? I know, less than that time. All right, good.
It might take your 10 to say.
Yeah, I know. What did you notice when you transitioned from being the face of the business, because for what, 2 years you were front and center
Yeah.
every day. And then you kind of had your own little breakdown because you don't like working the front anymore. So what happened to make you want to transition out of that? And how was it when you actually began to do real work and do some cooking?
Wow. Okay then. For me being the face of the business, I couldn't do it with multiple locations. So that was number one. We had to figure out when we opened up Chesterfield how to duplicate ourselves. So I had to transition out of that role. Now when I go into that role, business makes you bitter. I think that's probably, and I don't want to get emotional with it, but there is a little piece of me that gets choked up. You get bitter, and I don't like it.
No.
I mean, when you open the doors and you love what it is that you do and you love serving the community and getting to know who the people are, that's the piece that I love. I love the serving part of it. But when you see the Yelp reviews that occasionally come up and the people
vicious.
and the people that are really super high maintenance or get mad at you because you don't do calorie counting for them for their sauces or their dressings, or they complain because something is $2 more than going through a drive-through for a meal. I sit there and I go, I can't, that's a hard one for me to stomach. And I pay my employees to be happy and to serve the customer. And they do it like I did it at the very beginning because they love it and they don't have the pressure of the bills. They don't have the pressure of the business. And it's a disconnect for me kind of at this point. And I want to serve our employees. Like I want to be the one that is happier for our employees now. And I love the customers, don't get me wrong. I'd rather walk out and say hi to a customer and find out who they are and do that kind of a thing than have to be there and figure out how to disengage. Working in the kitchen is one of the things that I love cooking at home. I don't have time to cook at home. That to me is meditation. That to me is I can do this. I can have fun. I'm working with the employees, not necessarily with the customers. And it's my space. It's my Zen time, I guess you can say. So I like it. I mean, I never did it for, it was only up until maybe
recent.
5 months ago that I started doing it. And I started doing it because we were having challenges having good employees in the kitchen. And I finally said, fuck it. I got to figure this out because at some point it may be me working in this kitchen. And it has been. Oftentimes.
Which is, I think it's a great testament to my own abilities of setting up a system that even
This
somebody
says I can even teach her how to do this. But it is kind of, I mean, but we hired the new guy in St. Charles and I'm like going, why are you having me teach him how to do this? Why aren't you teaching him?
Because that's what it needs to be. And I mean, I was there and I was observing, but it actually was very informative. It's like, okay, how does this translate?
Yeah.
And obviously you have a leg up because you've been doing it really for 6 years. You've helped out. I mean,
right.
But it's always, that is one thing I probably fail at a little bit as an employer or a chef boss sort of person is I really like having other employees train the employees rather than me coming in.
And I think that is, we both are. We don't do a whole lot of the micromanaging.
No,
we step aside. We allow the employees to make those decisions and do the things that it is. And
it's their workspace.
It is. Yeah, we're in the way oftentimes. But I will also say, by me going in there and doing that, I found how important it is that we do more of the cross training.
Yes.
And those that are working up front all the time really need to understand how that kitchen, because the person up front having the conversation with a customer has expectations, oh, they can do this, and then goes back, and when they realize, no, you've got 20, 30 tickets back there, it's not as easy to say extra mushrooms and less broccoli or, whatever it is. So
they want a little more of this sauce and a little less of this sauce.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'll remember that in 5 minutes when I get through these other 20.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. But I think you and I have gone through a lot in the last year, especially.
Yeah, this one's been a
This
rough one.
this year's been a challenging one. I think it grounded us a little bit more, and we've been forced to kind of go back to the basics
A little bit.
and put ourselves in actual working roles. Yeah. And then also get to a point where you go, okay, now I'm in this working role, but this isn't serving the business much longer. So it's a back and forth.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a back and forth kind of thing. But when you realize you have a really good core of employees, and now it's just kind of adding a few more.
So in the 25 years, and they're here so they can get all mushy. The talent, whatever aside, we have and have attracted very good people. We don't have any assholes. We don't have that, oh crap, so and so is working today, sort of, employee that a lot of places do.
Sometimes we hire stupid people. Sometimes we wind up with somebody who's a little bit stupid, and you go, okay. And it really comes down to common sense.
It's not even stupid. It's common
sense.
People that are oblivious. Well, they're out there. But, we've kept Lacey around.
What we've identified, though, is that...
But they're so good people. The reason I think we attract the right employees is we honed in on we need employees that care
about the community, that care, that are a little bit of a foodie in regards to they like good quality food. They like knowing where their food is coming from. They like knowing how it's made. No bullshit. We're pretty real and we're pretty honest. And, we'll keep mentioning Lacey. Lacey gets a lot of the shit handed to her because she's the first one that, she's kind of where all my frustrations wind up going to and all that. But then you have a Carrie, and I'm only mentioning these two because they're out there sitting there, and I do think that they need kudos. But Carrie is the one that in Chesterfield duplicated me. Mm-hmm. She was the one that identified that it is about the community, how I serve those people, and it's the mom. And it's also that mom role.
She embraced it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which was important.
Yeah.
Well, pivotal, I guess, really.
So this was kind of fun, you and I just having conversation.
We rambled a bit, so apologies for that. We'll get more focused as we go on because we already, wages and tipping is a whole issue. Farm to table is going to be a whole issue. Maybe
I think
sooner
for
than
us,
later.
we want to hear what it is that our audience is wanting to have us talk about. Because we can go into all kinds of topics of conversation. One of the reasons we wanted to create this podcast and this YouTube channel is so that we can actually educate some people as to when we say, what does farm to table mean? Don't just take the marketing aspect of it. Ask the next question. Ask your server, what farm did this come from today? Or what farmer delivered any of your produce from you today? And if they don't know that answer, because every server should, then you may have to question how their marketing is.
Or switch and don't berate the poor server. Go to the management. If that's something that you care about. If you're going to a place because of that, then you should ask questions.
Yeah. So we want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen and to watch Find Your Inner Flavor. Again, my name is Becky. And my partner is Greg. We want to thank the Gaslight for creating an amazing space for us to do these recordings in. Matt with Media Outlaws, who does all of our recording and then also gets us put up onto YouTube for us. We're going to have more information, more blogging, all of that kind of stuff coming to you.
Working on them.
And you can find us at one of the SymBowl locations in Kirkwood, Chesterfield, and in St. Charles. Thank you.
Cheers.